I'm Angie, and today I want to talk to you all about a few things. First off, I've been having more people come to me in many different levels of awakening and levels in this process. So the first thing, my first suggestion to you is that understand what level you're at in this, because I know that there's like so much confusing information, and you just, when you step into this, you're lost and you're trying to make it through this, and it's, you know, your body's changing, your mind's changing, you're just so lost in every direction of your life. Then you step in and you're searching for information, because understanding is knowledge, which gives you peace, you know. So you're pushed into finding this knowledge, and when you come into trying to find it, it's like, you know, like a book that is just flew apart all over the parking lot, and you're trying to pick up the pages and read bits and pieces that have water damage, you know what I mean? It's just like, how can you find your way in this information disaster mess that we're given to lead us through this, right? So the first thing I would suggest that you do is understand where you are at in this process. Understand what level you're at in this process. For instance, you'll watch or read something on surrender. Well, there's different levels of surrender, right? There's many times that you feel you go through a separation and you feel like that's it, and it might even last months, to where you're like, that's it, I don't care, I've had enough, screw this whole thing. That's in the beginning. When you go into realizing this really is a twin flame or something, you really go into this part of surrender where it's like, I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want anything to do with this. I don't want nothing to, I've had enough. Surrender 1. And then you realize that you can't surrender. And when you realize you can't surrender, that's a really good sign that that's what you're going through, is this sort of connection. Then you'll do it again, and you'll go into, like I had an entire year, I've spoken of it before, to where they come into your mind. You know, there is a communication in distance without being in the physical. And the only word I had with every thought, because it's all day, I mean, they're part of you, you'll understand that, was F you. I mean, for about a year, that was the only thought in my head. I couldn't help it. You know what I mean? So once again, I'm thinking that's surrender. It isn't. Then, like I said, happened not too long ago, was to where you totally feel a disconnect and all this. That's a whole nother form of surrender. So it's just like, so many words are used, but it's explaining a whole different place that you're in. So if I'm talking about this total surrender that you reach, to where you're totally disconnected from your twin and everything, you know, but you're at this first part of surrender, to where you're like, I don't want no part of this. I don't want him to be my twin flame. I just want this, you know. So the information that's given in both parts of this is totally different. So it's going to confuse the hell out of you if you don't know which part of this that you're in, right? So to me, even that's getting your feet on the ground, to where you can even, until you get that, until you understand that, where you are, and your feet's planted to even that knowledge, how can you go further? Because you're not going to receive the right information. You're not going to know what is the right information for you, right? So, suggestion number 1. Now, I'm going to try to work on like courses, like I have one to where you're just entering this, or you're searching for your twin flame, lesson 1. But I'm going to try to split it up into phases of this process and give lessons meant for that part of the process that will give you tons of knowledge to help you where you are now. But it's going to take me a minute to do all that. But I'm hoping to get that done soon, and I can offer you that. Or you can contact me. Like I've said before, every first session with me is $22 for 22 minutes, and I will explain to you where you are and get your feet planted to know where to step next and what is going on with this, you know? Okay, so going into what this video is about, I've been feeling this, where I am in this process, where you will go, is you go into this other land. It's like you start changing and you start going searching for knowledge and all this, and you go into this other place. You disconnect from the world that you've known, right? And you go into this other place, you start questioning your sanity and all this. Where you go into another, people call it 5D, 4D, whatever you want to call it. You go to this other place and you disconnect from this, and this is like off to college, this other place you go to, because in that is where everything comes in, and you learn everything and you find everything and you change into this new being. But it's like once you get to a certain level of understanding, you come back down to earth. This is going to sound really odd unless you are further along in this process and understand it. So you come back down to earth, and this is when things happen to where you go into the real surrender and everything. There's tons of disconnect. You've went through so much. It's an odd place to be. But what it is we've went up here and we've become these beings of higher beings, higher knowing, higher feeling, higher attuned, changed into true self beings, right? Not all the way. I'm not saying all the way completion is done there, but you have gathered enough in yourself to be able to come back down to earth and start stepping into what you're here for. Okay? So a lot of people are going through this phase of the process. So we're coming back down to earth, and it's time to go to work, because many of us have been in, when you're up here, you're disconnected from the earth. So in that, you separate. You go into like a hermit phase. You go into an isolation. You cannot handle the energy of the world. You cannot, it's too much. You're sick, you can't think, you're going through so much. You need that, and you're pushed to that isolation to go into your transformation, right? You leave home, you go to school, you're isolating, you're somewhere else. Okay, then we come back down, and when we come back down, it's like it's time to step back out into the world. But you're stepping back out into the world in this changed being formation, in this balance of higher knowing in the physical body. Okay? So a lot of people are speaking of, it's time to step back out into the world. And it was like, yes, that's what I'm feeling too. You know, for me, I went through a total isolation. For about 4 years, I did not go into the world. I have not watched TV besides like what I choose to watch, like Netflix or something like that. And that's very rare, even in 8 years. I stopped going out into the world. I was forced into it by illness. I was like allergic to everything, long story. But at this time, I was just transforming into this person that, and had step away from the world. And in that, I said that I wanted to create the land of the real, my own world. So I didn't know what was going on. And I kept pushing myself to avoid what was being shown to me, so I had to have it in a formation to where I was broke out in hives if I would even step out the door. So things happened to me, and things happened to me to keep me in that spot. So for 4 years, I isolated from the world. Everybody thought I was freaking nuts. I was one of those people that was scared to leave their house and all this, you know what I mean, labeled as. And you know, it was a hard time. That was a hard 4 years. Lots of transformation. The only people I seen in those 4 years was family, friends, and then I would see clients for sessions. So the only time I left the house was to, like, if I had to go to the hospital one time, you know. Now I would go outside. I couldn't do without not going outside into the earth, but no desire for the concrete world. So I'm started to feel like I'm starting to be pulled back out into the world. When I first stepped back into the world, it was like, and I have the thought that, you know, I hear people talk, it's like everybody's on drugs, the world's getting worse. It was bad when I was out there, you know what I mean? It was hard to handle all that energy because I feel everything. So if I was to go out into the world, I would feel everyone around me like with all these thoughts, and just watch in amazement, you know, at the closed offness and the way people are. So it was just like sensory overload, exhausting to go out into the world. Felt like I couldn't function it. So now I'm starting to take steps out into it, and for me, even like a car feels fast. It feels like it's a fast motion. I'm not used to it. It's like everything going on around me is moving really fast. It's just like kind of trip off of it, you know? It's like just amazing, really. It just seems so different to me now. And I know this sounds crazy, but it is what it is. So I stepped back out there, and I was like, wow. You know, it was like I went to the chiropractor, and that's a whole nother story. Anyway, that's a whole nother, it was like stepping into this land I wanted to create, because the doctor was talking about one consciousness. He was talking about my sacral chakra as where the point in my body that's blocked. That's what I've said this whole time, is where I felt the twin flame was the sacral chakra. Everybody says heart or solar plex is the sacral chakra. That's what I've felt this whole time. I've never swayed on that. And here we go with the meeting and the doctor and that. And then I'm in the waiting room, and it's like, here's this woman that's homeschooling our children, you know, like the community you would imagine. And the children are like that of this new earth. This man was of nature. It was just like everybody that was around me was what you would picture in this new earth world that we want to go into. So it was like, wow. It was like, maybe I do create my own reality, or maybe I draw my reality to me, you know, because that's not the way the world was last time I was out there. So I was really cool with that. And I've started to see on YouTube more people putting out this message of the hermit stepping out. Also, feeling that I'm going to travel. I do not like to travel. I have no desire to travel. I've never wanted to travel. And I'm being hit with that. With people bringing up, like, there's probably 10 different places in the country that I could travel to now. You know? So I feel that coming, and it's like, I just feel this pull that I'm getting ready to step out into the world. And I was watching on YouTube, and I was seeing that was happening with others as well. That was the topic of their YouTube videos. But it was like, I waited, because I felt there was a deeper message to it. And I started getting that yesterday. The deeper message is, warning. It's like, okay, when you're at this point, and not a lot of us are at this point, but when you're at this point, or when you get to this point, then, and you think like this, they say that someone that molests children can feel the children that are easy prey. They feel it instinctively. Well, I feel like narcissistic, dark energied people feel our energy as well. And that they look at us as an easy prey. They look at us as energy source. They are attracted to us just as much as people that are using our energy for good. Like they're seeing us. Like, that happened to me a lot. It was like they're wondering, who are you? Why am I feeling this energy? Like people, normal people not in this process, are coming up to me and they're asking, who am I? What do I do? What's going on? Why do they feel this energy from me? I mean, that's trippy, right? So you're having these people that are seeing what, being led, seeing. I feel like it's opening them to see a little bit more, to separate from what they, I don't know how to explain it really. This draw to wanting to be a more open person, they're seeing it through me. Just being around us, once we've went through this, brings change in people, okay? But it brings change in both energy people, in both light and dark, and both that they both need you, but are ready for you and not ready for you. Okay, so it's like we're in this land of beautiful, and we're calm, and we're in this place of more balanced energy, and we see what is, and we see the truth. But do not be blinded. Do not use common sense. Do not trust all, because the world is not what it's not the new earth yet. Okay? It's not the new earth yet. So it's like, and you go into, we get all these, I know this video is all over the place and a little confusing, but in this process we learn feel and we learn trust from synchronicities coming into us, from signs coming into us that lead us to one thing to another. When you come back into this earth from here and you're ready to step back into the world, it's like you go into this process of knowing that you're standing on your own. That's what that disconnect is. And you're having to feel what within yourself where you need to step next. Within yourself, what to avoid, what not to avoid. Within yourself, what direction to go. Not so much on being guided. Okay? They will still guide you. You're not going to fall. But in this part of the process, it's like learning to step where you feel you need to step. Not so much where you're told to step by signs. Okay? So in this, we have to have a higher knowing that, yes, we're protected. But we need to think before we step. We need to check into ourselves before we step. Because if we step over here in evil land, it's not going to be good. Okay? So watch your step. The world, there is the devils, if you want to put it that way. There is negative energy. There is bad energy. That's what we're stepping back into the world for, right? Is to heal this world. We're stepping back into it at a point to where it's not healed. So we might be in land in ourselves, but when we step back out into the world, it's not in land. Parts of it is, but parts of it isn't. So what I'm telling you is, it is a time to step back into the world. And in this time, the moral of the story is, it is a time to step back into this world if you're at this level. To step back into this world to do your purpose. But you're stepping back into it without holding the hand you've held the whole time. It's like another lesson in a way. You are using what you feel. That's why you have tuned into these higher frequencies of feeling in every way, every formation. You know what I mean? In the five senses, that's a whole nother video. So you're stepping back into the world for a purpose, because you're supposed to be there. Just in, like I was saying, in your presence is going to awaken people and make people see and make people question, okay? Your words, the people you will come into, is going to, that I needed to say this to this person, I need to say this to this, but I needed to, and that's spreading this awakening, this process, this growing of to what we need to come to, right? Evolving the world into the place it needs to be just by being out there. That's what we're drawn to do now in this level that we've come into, stepping out there. It is happening, but we're stepping out in a formation of trust of self. And in that, we have to remember that the world is not what it is yet. It is not at the place that it needs to be yet. There is still evil in the world. And the evil will be drawn to you just as well as the not evil will be drawn to you. Like a predator. Like a predator. And really evil. Really evil. So, in seeing this, you are protected from the evil. And knowing this and using your common sense, you are protected from this. Okay? But do not just skip through the field quite yet, is what I'm saying. Get it? Don't get lost in the la of this process, I guess is what I'm saying. Because we're feeling in a blissful state. We're feeling this is wonderful. We are coming into our knowing. We're coming into our purpose. We're coming into our mission. We're coming into all these things we need to do. And I'm just saying, don't get lost in it. Ground, stay focused, because we draw it all. Okay. I hope that video helps. A lot of you are going into, they married someone else. They went back with their wives, or they finally married the other person. Part of the process. I think that's the next video I'm going to make. But just know that it's for a reason, and it will be okay. I will talk to you soon. All my links are below. I take my link to PayPal is on my website. All the prices, like I said, first session is 22 minutes for $22. And I will talk to you soon.